What a week it has been, buzzing with so many health news hitting headlines. Be it Salman Khan's announcement regarding his neurological problems or research indicating that Chat GPT is making us dumb. India also has a new weight loss pill hitting the market. VigoV has been launched in our country. A lot of people are still grappling with travel anxiety after the crash of AI 171. So we are breaking that down for you. We're explaining travel anxiety to you as well. Also decoding extreme allergic reaction that killed businessman Sanjay Kapoor. I'm Sneha Mordani. This is Health 360. Well, let's begin by telling you about a piece of research that would shock you a little. Well, it did get me to think about my reliance on artificial intelligence as well. Thing is that a new study indicates that artificial intelligence and over-reliance on digital tools like Chat GPT is making us dull and dumb. Well, there is no other way to put it. Here's more. Right, there was a time, remember, when we would remember a couple of telephone numbers that would be at the back of our mind, isn't it? Apart from your own telephone number, you would easily, without looking into your diary, dial some other phone numbers also on your cordless phone or your landline phone. Well, the culprit here is Chat GPT, and the idea of memorizing stuff is just so 20th century. Essentially, it has been found by the Massachusetts Institute of Technology that students who rely on artificial intelligence like Chat GPT for their work essentially are becoming dumb. What is now being said is that their cognitive skills is getting impacted. What's also getting impacted is their critical thinking. And this research just speaks volumes of how artificial intelligence is preventing us from using our minds, from applying ourselves. Well, what is being assessed right now is that in the next 10 to 15 years, we could be losing our ability to think and analyze, just like we have lost our ability to memorize right now. Now, what the researchers did is this. They chose 54 participants between the ages of 18 to 39 in the Boston area. They asked them to write essays. Are they using digital assistants or using non-digital assistants, basically applying themselves, which meant that they were asked to use OpenAI Chat GPT or Google search. Others were asked not to use digital assistants. They meanwhile monitored their brain functioning, essentially scanning their brain to look at the cognitive engagement there. Research essentially found that those students who were not relying on digital tools, were using their minds, were applying their brains, showed more cognitive engagement in their brains as opposed to other students who were heavily relying on OpenAI. In fact, the essays were called soulless by the researchers of those students who were relying on Chat GPT. It shows less brain activity, also less critical analysis thinking, which means they're not using their mind, as opposed to the other students who were not using digital tools like OpenAI's Chat GPT. They were doing their mental legwork, and that is something that should be done. The thing about brain rot is that you don't know until the time it's too late. It's like gaining weight, becoming unfit. You don't know until it is too late, until the time your pants don't fit in or you're trying to walk up a flight of stairs and then realize how unfit you've actually become. Now, while working on this story, I was also using my phone and I kind of just thought, which was the year when the first iPhone was first introduced? Well, the year was actually 2007. I actually had the first iPhone. I lived through that era. But what did I do? Did I get my brain to do some legwork and think about this? Or did I type into Chat GPT and ask this question to Chat GPT? Unfortunately, I ended up using Chat GPT. Look around you. Chances are you will meet people who would not want to fly, take any flight anytime soon. Well, the week gone by has seen a drastic increase in what is known as travel anxiety. The horrific crash of AI 171, which is still unexplained. The horrific pictures of the accident is etched in the minds of people world over. More so seen in India because of the uncertainty around air travel. Hundreds of flights have been cancelled repeatedly over the last few days. Air India has been in news for all the wrong reasons. Well, it is not just Air India though. Not sure if you're just shaken after a recent crash or if it is something deeper. Well, here are some signs that may point to growing flight-related anxiety. Avoiding work trips that require flying. Feeling dread or panic when travel is mentioned, obsessively following news about flights or aviation incidents, trouble sleeping before a scheduled flight, and experiencing physical symptoms like heart palpitations, sweating, or nausea just thinking about getting on a plane. Well, if these symptoms last more than a couple of weeks or begin to interfere with your work, travel plans, or overall peace of mind, it's a good idea to reach out to a mental health professional. Feeling anxious after crash news? Remember, flying is still incredibly safe. Air travel has a remarkably low accident rate compared to other forms of transportation. For example, MIT research indicates there was only one fatality for every 13.7 million passenger boardings between 2018 and 2022. Try calming techniques like deep breathing or mindfulness to ease tension. Don't keep your fears inside. Well, talk to someone you trust or a professional if required. Picture yourself on calm, smooth flights you've had before. If anxiety sticks around, therapy like CBT can really help. Rare air disasters hit hard because they trigger deep fears, but you can take back control. Rare air disasters hit hard because they trigger deep fears, but you can take back control. And joining us right now is Dr. Astik Joshi, child, adolescent and forensic psychiatrist at Fortis Hospital in New Delhi. Thank you for your time. You know, the brain responds in a very different way to flight incidents, even from a distance. It stores it like a real memory. Explain to us what happens to the human mind in situations like these, where you see yourself consuming news items of this kind. It's constantly there before you. You're looking at it. You're hearing about it all the time.
In situations like these, in which there's a traumatic event, and we tend to experience the traumatic event through visualizing or through seeing it on the news, what happens is the brain tends to perceive it in a way that this is actually going on in reality. So it is not virtual, in a way it is real. So if there's a real, if the body perceives it as a real traumatic event, the brain goes into fight or flight response. And in this, the brain tends to have the decision making which is overridden with emotion instead of logic, and that may be counterproductive.
You know, Dr. Joshi, sometimes just the information overload and emotional weight of this news can trigger your brain's stress response. You know, what should the person do if he or she is actually overwhelmed with fear?
If a person is being overwhelmed by fear, it is necessary that they practice appropriate and healthy coping mechanisms to cope with that fear. What I mean by healthy and appropriate coping mechanisms to handle with fear is to do the logical things. Firstly, for example, stay away from social media, stay away from media if it is giving you information overload. If, in addition to that, practicing healthy coping techniques such as physical exercise, eating a balanced diet, sticking to your routine, having your sleep schedule which is normal in nature. So all of these things are important in order for an individual to cope with fear.
And I'm going to thank you for joining in and sharing your views with us today. Well-known industrialist and polo enthusiast Sanjay Kapoor, ex-husband of actor Karishma Kapoor, lost his life recently after being stung by a honeybee during a polo match. A simple sting, something many of us have experienced and brushed aside, turned fatal due to a severe allergic reaction known as anaphylaxis. His untimely demise brings to the forefront a life-threatening medical emergency that is still poorly understood and under-recognized. It is being said that food-dependent exercise-induced anaphylaxis, or FDEIA, could have led to his death. So what is FDEIA? Well, it's a rare but real phenomenon where an allergic reaction is triggered only when certain foods are consumed before exercise. The overlap of a bee sting, physical exertion, and a possibly sensitized immune system could have created the perfect storm here. These incidents are all wake-up calls. Anaphylaxis is a race against time, but with the right awareness, timely intervention, and preventive strategies, lives can be saved. So what really is anaphylaxis? Anaphylaxis is a rapid onset, severe allergic reaction that can affect multiple organ systems, skin, respiratory, cardiovascular, gastrointestinal, and nervous system. It may start with simple symptoms like itching, rashes, lip swelling, or throat tightness, but can escalate within minutes to breathing difficulty, a drop in blood pressure, loss of consciousness, and even death. Well, common triggers include insect stings, bee, wasp, ant, foods like nuts, shellfish, milk, wheat, and fruits, medications, antibiotics, and NSAIDs as well. Exercise, especially after certain meals, latex, cold exposure, or unknown causes. Now, in the case of Sanjay Kapoor, the honeybee sting was the likely culprit. However, if he had eaten certain sensitizing foods before the game, food-dependent exercise-induced anaphylaxis can't be ruled out. The golden rule always is, if two or more systems are involved, which is skin, respiratory, or gut plus heart, it's anaphylaxis. Every minute matters. So at the end of the day, one big question remains about what could have possibly happened to businessman Sanjay Kapoor. I'm being joined by Dr. Nirj Gupta, allergist and pediatrician, senior consultant at Delhi's Sir Gangaram Hospital. Thank you for your time. Talk to us about anaphylaxis. What are the signs and symptoms of this? Just decode this for us.
Allergy can be presenting to us in different forms. Something which is we are inhaling, something is going through the inhalation route by the air. We might get some cough, cold, runny nose, blocked nose, some watering of the eyes, and then sometimes chest tightness, chest wheeziness. Similarly, if something which is ingested, you have taken something orally, and at that time somebody is allergic to it, then he might get some nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, loose stools. So these things can happen. Abdominal pain can be very severe also. Something which is coming in contact to the skin, then at that time you can get some rashes, some itching, or some swelling in the skin or in the lips. So these could be different symptoms of allergies.
So right, doctor, tell us, what saves lives in a case like that? What's the role of the EpiPen? What medicine really is that?
Epinephrine is marketed as the name as EpiPen in the West. It is yet not present in India. So there are very, you can say, like limited places only which you will get EpiPen. Otherwise it is not freely available. So this EpiPen is life-saving. So a person need to know that, okay, this EpiPen is there and how to use it. It is important. So the patient himself or the person himself who is experiencing the symptoms, he need to inject EpiPen immediately. Usually the injection of the EpiPen is the anterolateral part of the thigh. So usually we say that just open the EpiPen, inject it, and then release it, and that's done. So this is how you can actually treat or prevent an acute episode of anaphylaxis. The other important thing is that whenever you are needing an EpiPen or epinephrine, so immediately the life-threatening situation will become controlled.
Also, what are the precautions that need to be taken, if any?
With the common allergy testing which are now available with the allergy specialist, you can actually detect that okay, to which things you are allergic to. So you need to prevent, you need to avoid those particular things. If you are allergic to a particular food item, you need to avoid that food item. If you are allergic to a particular drug, then whenever you are going to a doctor, you need to tell him that okay, I am allergic to this particular drug, so that the doctor can avoid that particular drug and he can give you an alternative solutions. If you are allergic to certain insect, then at that particular time you can take certain precautionary measures to avoid again contact with the insect. The other important thing which is important, as I mentioned earlier, is about EpiPen, or the life-saving, or you can say like injection, which should be available to every person who is at risk for anaphylaxis.
All right, I'm going to thank you, Dr. Nirj Gupta, sharing those details with us at this point in time. Actor Salman Khan casually but candidly has spoken about his health problems, revealing new details about his health complications that bog him down. We're decoding these neurological disorders in our next report.
स्वागत तो करो हमारा। एक बार जो मैंने कमिटमेंट कर दी, उसके बाद तो मैं अपने आप की भी नहीं सुनता।
Superstar Salman Khan has revealed that he is suffering from several neurological conditions. Bollywood's Bajrangi Bhaijaan has said he's battling 3 serious medical conditions: brain aneurysm, AV malformation and trigeminal neuralgia. The 59-year-old actor made this revelation during his appearance in the first episode of Netflix's The Great Indian Couple Show.
I'm out here breaking my bones every day. Ribs are fractured. I am working despite having trigeminal neuralgia. There's an aneurysm in the brain, yet I'm still working. There's also an AV malformation, and still I'm carrying on.
So what are these conditions? Let's break them down. Trigeminal neuralgia. It's a chronic nerve disorder causing extreme facial pain. Salman had actually undergone a surgery in the year 2011 but still experiences painful episodes. Brain aneurysm is a bulging blood vessel in the brain with risk of rupture. An AVM or AV malformation is the abnormal connection between arteries and veins in the brain. It increases the risk of bleeding or stroke, requires specialized treatment. Medical experts say that stress aggravates all of these neurological conditions as listed out by Salman Khan. Yet stress is a factor and it could trigger further symptoms. But what really is known is that many of these conditions are hereditary in nature. Definitely, alcohol is a connection, smoking, poor lifestyle, poor patterns of sleep, all of this will worsen the situation and also perhaps lead to some of these neurological disorders that Salman Khan suffers from. And to explain these problems and what are the specific treatments, I'm being joined by Dr. Joy Mukharji, Vice Chairperson and Head Neurology, Max Hospital, Saket in the National Capital. Thank you so much for your time. I want to begin by asking you, what are the specific treatments for each of these 3 problems as listed out by actor Salman Khan?
The way to treatment is 2. Once it happens is basically by clipping, where that offending part of the artery is clipped, that is done by the neurosurgeon, or an endovascular coiling is done, where through the artery, inside the artery, some small coil support, and that part is obliterated, and that is one of the standard treatment for aneurysm. This is a serious condition. It requires immediate hospitalization and care.
You know, Dr. Mukherjee, what causes these problems? In a way, is there anything that you can do to prevent these neurological diseases?
It is difficult to prevent trigeminal neuralgia because it is something which is not under your control. It is an abnormal blood vessel which comes across on the nerve, or a small tumor comes. So you cannot really prevent it, but you can diagnose it well. It is a very clinical diagnosis. You don't need much investigations to diagnose it. You can just do a plain MRI to rule out that there is nothing structural abnormality in the brain which is pressing onto the nerve.
All right, Dr. Mukherjee, thank you for your time here and thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. India is facing a growing obesity crisis with over 135 million people classified as overweight or obese. Now, a game-changing drug that's taken the West by storm is finally hitting Indian shelves. It's called VigoV, and it's changing the way we think about weight loss. Here's what you need to know. It's been developed by Novo Nordisk. VigoV is a once-weekly injectable medication containing semaglutide, a GLP-1 receptor agonist originally used to manage type 2 diabetes. But when higher doses were tested, the results were pretty stunning. Some patients lost over 15 to 20% of their body weight, numbers previously only seen with bariatric surgery. Approved by the US FDA in the year 2021 and by several other countries since, VigoV's rollout in India comes at a critical time. According to the National Family Health Survey, obesity rates in urban areas have nearly doubled over the last decade. Novo Nordisk has confirmed VigoV will be available in select metro cities, including Mumbai, Delhi, Bengaluru and Hyderabad. But it won't come cheap. Monthly treatment is expected to cost between 20,000 to 25,000 rupees, putting it out of reach for many average Indians. Some experts have raised concerns about accessibility, long-term side effects and off-label use among non-obese individuals seeking quick weight loss. The Drug Controller General of India has approved the drug for medically obese patients with a BMI, the body mass index, of over 30 or over 27 with comorbidities like hypertension and diabetes. India's battle with obesity has a powerful new weapon. The question is, who can afford to use it? Water Pilates or Aqua Pilates combine traditional Pilates with water-based exercise. Performed in a pool, it uses the water's resistance and buoyancy to create a low-impact workout that improves strength, flexibility and cardiovascular endurance. Suitable for all fitness levels, really. Here's more.
It's sweltering hot in Delhi, and working out is perhaps one of the most difficult things to do. As Delhi awaits eagerly for the weather to change, people might have found respite in a new alternative. Water Pilates offer a refreshing take on the traditional Pilates, but done in a pool. We attended a class in the heart of the city at the Wellness Centre, Shangri-La Eros Hotel, to understand this trending aquatic exercise.
If you, like those right beside me, are looking for a way to burn those extra calories but simply don't know what to do in this blistering heat, then we might have something perfect for you. So if you like me something more natural, aquatic and preferably Pilates, this is the perfect respite from your summer extra cals. Take a look at Water Pilates.
Up, 1, down, 2, down, 3, 1.
It's caught the hearts and eyeballs of many youngsters who also view it as a social sport.
3, 2, 1. Relax.
It's a low-impact workout that tones your body and calms your mind. Water adds gentle resistance, enhancing core strength, flexibility and balance, all while being easy on the joints. It's rooted in the core principles of traditional Pilates: control, concentration, breathe, centering, flow and precision. What's more, the workout does not require you to know swimming and flotation. Devices or pool noodles assist in balance and creating buoyancy instead. Another aspect of this aquatic sport is that it's suitable for everyone. Whether you are recovering from an injury, pregnant, a beginner, managing arthritis, or even a seasoned athlete, Water Pilates meets you where you are. The water reduces pressure on the body, making movement feel lighter and more accessible. But you burn more calories, your muscles are working harder than you think, thanks to the water resistance. Call to action with Water Pilates, your summer might just be sorted. After all, it's gentle on the body but powerful in results. Try it for yourself and let us know.
Well, that brings us to the end of this edition of Health 360. You can catch that report and much more on our website. That's indiatoday.in. You can download the app as well. All of these news reports on health, wellness and fitness can be found on our digital platforms as well. That's YouTube, Instagram, Twitter or X, and of course Facebook. The hashtag is Health 360, Health 360 Plus. Do not forget to like, subscribe and share. That's it from me for the moment. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourself. Bye for now.